Good morning, everyone. It's Lee Henson, president and founder of AgileDad, and it's time for today's episode of the Daily Standup. Without any further ado, let's get started. It's Thursday, and for this Thursday's episode, I thought it'd be good to comment on a recent article that was published by Mike Cohn. Mike and I go way back. I love the guy to death. There's no two ways about it. Mike is just a prolific agilist. And in his most recent article he posted, it was a blog post. It talks about the 7 questions to determine if being a Scrum Master is a right fit for you. Now, I love these kind of posts because they ask you to dig a little deeper and to ask yourself some questions. So if you're thinking you want to become a Scrum Master, this might be the post for you. This is your sign. Okay, so let's figure it out. Here are the 7 questions you can ask yourself. See if you're more suited to a career as a Scrum Master than you could be as something else. So question number 1, how do you feel about helping others? Do you like helping others? Scrum Masters need to love helping others. They need to enjoy it. They need to live for it. This is what I do. This is what I live for, right? Scrum Masters need to be engaged. They need to be in the mode every single day, asking themselves, what can I do to uplift others? What can I do to put others in a better place? If this is your shtick, if this is what you do, then you're well on your way. You can check off number 1. So number 1 is, do you like helping others? Number 2 is, do you need to be in the spotlight? So I compared a Scrum Master to a doctor. Mike compares a Scrum Master to a golf caddy. So let me give you his comparison. He says a good caddy can be instrumental to the success of the golfer, but caddies aren't in it for the glory. Great caddies do whatever they can to help the golfer look good rather than seeking to make themselves look good. I get it. It's kind of like the reason why I say a Scrum Master is like a doctor, because they diagnose all the problems, they write a prescription, but then it becomes the team's or the organization's responsibility to go get the prescription filled, to take the prescription as discussed, and to make sure that they follow through with the entire dosage. No one's going to do that for you. So I think that if you're one of those people who don't necessarily like to be in the spotlight, but you like to solve problems and you like to do these things, then yeah, Scrum Master could be a good fit. Coming in at number 3, are you a good listener? Just in case you weren't listening, are you a good listener? Sorry, I had to. It was too easy. We all know Scrum Masters are designed to help teams remove obstacles that they can't remove themselves, and to help the teams identify and remove obstacles that they can remove themselves. But part of that helping means listening. It means active listening, asking open-ended, clarifying questions, and helping solve problems. Other times it just means listening. There's a great video out there that's called "It's Not About the Nail." If you haven't had a chance to watch that, you got to watch it. It is a great video that describes the importance of listening. But great Scrum Masters know when it's time for them to listen empathetically and when it's time for them to jump into action. So I think it needs to be one of these things where not only can you listen, but are you a good listener? So I love the way that's worded. So far to recap, number 1, do you like helping others? Number 2, do you need to be in a spotlight? And number 3, are you a good listener? Coming in at number 4, do you have the power? Can you influence without authority? Can you influence someone to do something? How charismatic are you? I guess is a better question, right? And this, by the way, is the hardest lesson for Scrum Masters to learn. It's hard for them to get their head around what this means. It's hard to teach others and lead others, and to be able to say, hey, I don't have anything to force you to do this, but I think you should do this, and have people follow your counsel. Just do it because I told you to doesn't work. But you need to have an attitude of, what can I do to be a leader, but not have the authority to drive that leadership. Coming in at number 5 is, are you comfortable with uncertainty? Scrum Masters certainly live in a world filled with uncertainty. Teams exist and sometimes even thrive in uncertainty. Architecture emerges over time. The product backlog is always incomplete. There's always things that are happening that teams have to embrace. Teams are never going to find agile success until they embrace and understand an uncertainty as part of their deal. But as a Scrum Master, you don't need to be excited about uncertainty, but you do have to certainly be comfortable living in that environment, because you are going to be full of uncertainty while you're doing this. True stuff. Number 6, can you handle conflict well? The truth is, this doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it's bad, right? Team members are going to differ in opinions. They're going to differ in ways to solve problems. More fundamentally, you have to deal with personality clashes among team members, unrealistic demands from stakeholders, people piling on work when they shouldn't be. We learned about that yesterday. But the trick isn't whether or not you identify it. The trick is how well do you handle the conflict? And I think that if you get to the place where you can handle conflict well, then Scrum Master might be your gig. And finally, number 7, here I go. If you're working in a technical organization, are you technical enough to be the Scrum Master? Now, I'm not saying you have to be a coder. I want to be careful. But some of the best Scrum Masters I've ever seen were former technical leads, right? You need to know enough about what they're doing to be able to speak the language of people fluently who are doing the work. If you don't necessarily have a deep understanding of the work and you've never done a team job previously, you need to ask a lot of really good questions as a substitute, but sometimes it's not even enough. So I'm not saying you have to be technical to be a Scrum Master, but I'm saying that you have to be technical enough to understand. So for example, if you ask a question like, are there any implications to the database? That would be a good question for a Scrum Master to ask if database changes have been overlooked before. But if you don't understand, and that's, the type of work your team's working on, and you don't understand a basic principle, you need to get to the point where you understand. Now, one of the tips I can give you here is that I've had Scrum Masters who've come to me and said, hey, do you have a minute? And they'd sit down with me and they'd say, I have a confession to make. I want to do my job better, but I don't know enough about the product or service that you build. I don't know enough about what you do to feel comfortable giving you that guidance. Would you be willing to let me sit with you for 15 minutes or so and have you explain to me what you do and just kind of walk me through and show me what you do? And you'd be surprised how many developers and technical people will open up to you and welcome that, because no one ever takes the time to do that with those teams. No one ever takes the time to do that and sit down with them and see what they're working on. So to give you the rundown one more time, number 7, are you technical enough to do it? Number 6, can you handle conflict well? Number 5, are you comfortable with uncertainty? Number 4, can you influence without authority? How charismatic are you? Number 3, are you a good listener? Number 2, do you need to be in a spotlight all the time? And number 1, do you really enjoy helping others? The truth is, it's okay to dream and it's okay to have other things that you want to do. But I find that a lot of people easily fit inside of this box. And if this matches or maps to what you like to do, then Scrum Master is the right fit for you. But if for some reason these things make you feel kind of uncomfortable, then maybe Scrum Master is not the job for you. And there's other options out there. I love what Mike put. He said, I may want to become a K-pop singer because it pays well and it's always in demand. But there would probably be a few things holding me back from my career at topping the pop charts as a K-pop artist. True that, Mike. I don't think I could be a K-pop artist either. And I'll join a singing group with you if you want to join a singing group and we can sing songs about Agile. I think that would be lots of fun, Mike. But overall, I don't know that I'd ever be a K-pop artist either. But I hope this helps you with regard to being a Scrum Master. So as always, I hope this information was great for you. We encourage you to visit agiledad.com where you can learn more about this topic. And we're going to drop a link to that blog post in the description here. So that way, if you want to go check out Mike's post, you can. Good stuff, I'm telling you. So thanks, Mike, for an amazing post. And thanks for letting me review it. So as always, we want to say, stay healthy, stay agile, and stay well, my friends. Until next time, do take care.